In today's video, we're going to be going over some price probabilities for the month of June and how that correlates to our several setups that are actually going on as of right now. We're going to revisit some of those setups actually today as well, as another one has actually fired off, which does improve or at least give a little bit more clarity to the greater picture. And I do want to start to bring everything together now because, well, we are getting very, very close to the beginning of June. And without further ado, let's talk about some price probabilities right over here.
Visualize yourself as you are now breaking free from any negative energies or anything that does not serve you or your highest good.
And as we can see, we can start off right over here with some June action, which all of these vertical bars do represent past Junes in Bitcoin's history. And as you can see, June in general has actually been positive. In fact, if you want to look at some more hard data, some more numbers over here, we can see that out of 14 total Junes for Bitcoin, 9 of those have closed positively from open to close, which gives it around about a 64.25% strike rate for, well, closing positively, quite literally just opening on the open and closing on the close. With that said, the average return for those positive months was 25%, or just above 25%, with actually quite a large standard deviation, about 24.11. So encompasses a big range there. But realistically, when we do look at it, in terms of all of the positive gaining months for June, which is this column right here, most of them were in kind of lowish for Bitcoin, that is double digits. There was really only one major outlier, which was a 25% gainer, which was quite literally the first June in Bitcoin's history. Everything else was, at most about 25%, which again is a lot for any other market, but for Bitcoin, that's kind of, par for the course on like a decent-ish month. On the other side, however, for the negative months, which again, there have been 5 out of 14, well, it did return an average loss of just over 17%. So if we go into the actual charts running over here and we're to extrapolate where June is going to open, which we don't know as of right now, obviously there's still about 5 days left, or let me just double check over here. Yeah, there's 31 days in May. What month are we in? May? We're in May. And it does end on Friday or after Friday, I guess. So assuming Bitcoin closes somewhere around here, we're just gonna assume 69,000 bucks because it's a great number. 69,420 would be even better, but you can only get so perfect, right? Anyways, in this case, if we were to see a gain of about almost 25%, well, where would that put Bitcoin? That would put Bitcoin at about 87,000 bucks. Let me just double check that was true. Yeah, 25%. Does put Bitcoin around 86 to 87,000 bucks. If it does lose, again, assuming the new month of June opens somewhere, where current price is trading, which, a lot can happen in 5 days, obviously. What was it, a 15% drop or something like that? Sorry, 17% drop. Pretty close though. Would bring Bitcoin somewhere back down around, certainly below 60,000 bucks, closer to 58,000 bucks probably, to 57,000 bucks. Now, with the way that things are shaping up right here, I think that just at the outset, I am still leaning towards just overall upside price action. I do just generally looking at what we see right here, kind of discount the downside. Of course, that's my personal opinion, just based off of, well, several other things that we've been looking at as well. But we'll come up with very hard and important regions to be aware of on price action that, if met, well, would indicate that, yeah, that is pretty fucking likely. But as of right now, especially with price closer to 70,000 bucks than 60,000 bucks, I would probably take the upside of that, just personally. But again, looking at the standard deviation for the losing trades right here, I mean, that is 14%. So we have a pretty wide array of results there. Anyways, yes, so moving on from there, I do want to revisit one of the setups that we looked at in yesterday's video, and it was this. It had not fired off just yet, but we said, hey, look, if Bitcoin just basically doesn't do anything really crazy within about 4 or 5 hours, we're going to see this setup fire off, which did. It did indeed right here. It did fire off specifically at a price point of 69,136, as the VMP volatility portion of this was just around 5. Yeah, 5, exactly where it was yesterday. So that did fire off. It's a very, very simplistic setup. If you do have the Krown Quant automation features, which are in the link in the description below. And by the way, we're gonna have a sale on it starting tomorrow. So just wait like literally less than a day, and you'll save yourself a few bucks on it. It's a very simple setup. 12-hour time frame, needs to be on an uptrend, needs to see the VMP below 10 percentile, and take profit when the VMP is above 85 percentile. Pretty fucking simple. Other than that, there is a trend filter for the 3-day time frame and a max stop loss of 8%. And when we have those criteria set up over the full history of Bitcoin, there's been 188 times that we've seen this one traded. Again, it's a higher term time frame relatively for Bitcoin, which has returned I would say some pretty damn good results. Profit factor of 2.16, hit rate of just under 55%, and 55%, you know, is closer to a coin toss than anything else. But because of the way that this one does manage risk, you know, long term, I mean, this is very, in my opinion, it's very acceptable. You know, it keeps on reaching higher, and the lows keep on going higher as well, which is exactly what I want to see on an equity curve. As far as the performance summary does go, we can go in over here, and more importantly, and let me just, yeah, actually you can see it right here, the average winning trade at around 15%, again, does need to be taken into context of what we just looked at for the month of June. Although, actually, when I do think about it for a second here, and this is where, you know, interpreting statistics gets a little bit, I don't know, a little bit strange, is maybe not strange, but requires a little bit of user input, is that the average amount of winning bars and winning trades is 14, which on a 12-hour time frame would be 7 days on average. Again, it's going to be some variance in there. Average amount of bars and losing trades would be 8. So, you know, if we are going to see this one lose, we probably see it lose within about 4 days, a little bit less than 4 days from now. And if it goes on further than that, you know, closer to 7 days, probably more likely going to be a win. 7 days would bring us to basically the beginning of June, which if we do start off, you know, this next 7 days with a nearly 15% rally, where that put Bitcoin from here? That would put Bitcoin 79,000 to 80,000 bucks. Again, there's going to be some variance in there. It doesn't need to necessarily be exactly that, but it does give us, you know, the averages. I mean, that's what you typically do expect. And we've seen this one fire off several times, even in the last couple months here. Did do a pretty damn good job of getting these local lows or close to the local lows before a nice little rally attempt, despite being in a general downtrend. Last loss that we did see was back here, coming off of, yeah, the all-time high from the 15th of March. That one did fail, obviously. But other than that, this one's been pretty damn good throughout this past year and a half now, you know, scalping these decent upside moves. So ultimately, what I'm trying to say is that if this one does play out, and by the way, this is not going to be the discount code. I have to figure one out actually still. It's undecided as of right now. Maybe it's going to be abundance. Oh my God. It needs to be abundance. By the way, for the fucking abundance guy, you can't even see my face right now. He literally does hour-long live streams of what you've been seeing. Like, I'm not even fucking joking. Like, probably even more than hour-long live streams, and many of them. And the best part, just like with any YouTube video, is the comments. So, so if you do start to get recommended his videos, just read the comments. They're so fucking good, man. They're so fucking good. I'm glad like people like this are out there in the wild, and and that's all I'll say about that. All right, now that we've gone through that, yes. So yeah, upside more likely. Again, this playing in alignment with this, you know, that can then be, well, transferred into the next setup. This one completely different. Like, I mean, we're looking at 3 different completely setups, you know, what they're based around. This one just based off of monthly closures. This one based off of, you know, volatility / momentum indicator. And then this one over here is the fucking moons, you know, again, probably bullshit. But when you look at these results over time, I mean, you have to ask yourself, would I have traded better than this? You have to put your ego, or at least I have to put my ego aside and be like, would I have traded better than this? I mean, look, this is being back tested over the full history of Bitcoin. So it's like, yeah, you can probably do better just in terms of optimization of timing. But in terms of just percent profitable and profit factor, I mean, pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good again. This particular setup, if you're not familiar with it, and is the abundance setup. That's right, abundance your bunghole. But basically it is longing when the full moon is, or whatever the fucking bullish moon is that people look at, the fucking witches, and then closing when the next moon occurs. Really, really crazy shit. But at the end of the day, you know, numbers don't lie, or statistics don't lie. And if we go into the performance summary right here, well, we can see that the average winning trade is actually the exact fucking same as what we saw in this particular setup right here, 14.85. Let me actually double check. Was it? Sorry, this one's 14.82. The moon one is 14.85. Really fucking weird shit. I don't understand why these things occur like this, but it is what it is. So again, this one has an entry a little bit lower than the one that we just looked at, the one that fired off yesterday, but about 15% up from that number would be about 78,000 bucks. And this one, obviously, in terms of timing, is rather interesting here too, because, well, these signals fire off every 14 or 15 days, and this one already fired off, obviously. When was it? Right here, which was the 23rd of May. So about 14 or 15 days from there would be when? Well, that would be end of next week. Not this coming week, but the week after that, actually. So do we see these two things play hand in hand? Because those times kind of do correlate with each other, or around each other. Maybe. Again, the longer that this drags on sideways here without really dumping through the current low of the last few days at like 66,000 bucks, well, yeah, I mean, it's going to favor upside. Just by the nature of that. We do have other setups that we've looked at as well. I won't go over them in this particular video, but I do want to just point out that the 5-day setup is still, you know, it's still out there like the pump. If you know what I'm talking about, it's out there like the pump. But you know, 5-day BBWP volatility, you know, still at extreme low. So we haven't really seen this fund fire off just yet. But with as long as the 5-day stochastic oscillator is positioned to the upside, which it is, as long as Bitcoin is above basically 66,000 bucks, a little bit below than that to be fair, but 66,000 bucks, you know, it's going to favor upside. So what can we deduce from that? Well, basically, as long as Bitcoin's above 66, we do expect the upside of probably all of these different setups to play out with varying degrees of, you know, of likely average return within different time frames within the next like few weeks, or, you know, within the next 2 weeks, maybe like 10 to 15%. And throughout the end of June, because this one would also take a little over a month, if it does fire off, well, that would be around end of June, you know, somewhere maybe closer to 25 to 30%, which obviously would be, you know, nice, I guess, for the BULAs. Anyways, okay, yes. So going on from there, that's basically it as far as kind of relating all these different setups. I'm very curious to see how this does coalesce, because again, we do have completely different, you know, veins here that are suggesting somewhat similar, you know, very similar things, I would say, statistically speaking. Again, this setup just based off of the month, this setup based off of volatility and momentum, this setup based off of the moods, and this setup over here, which is not fired off just yet, to be fair, but does favor the upside as of right now, and is a different volatility versus momentum setup, not to be confused with this one. So many different looks at this one. Typically, confluence does equal, you know, higher likelihood, higher chance. If we go back on over here to the 5-day time frame, just for the just kind of end this one off on the HPDR indicator, we can see the median is still coming in somewhere right around 67,750. It's got another 3 days left on this one, but you know, I'd say basically as long as the 5 days above that and the dailies above 66, I'm going to be favoring the upside. I'd be lying if I said this looks a little bit questionable here. It does look a little bit questionable. But then again, when we do go to the monthly look, which obviously higher term timeframes typically do take precedence, this does look like a great bounce off of the median, which we outlined coming in this month would be a great bear trap region. And as of right now, it's a lot closer to reclaiming April's high. Really closing anywhere above 71,000 bucks would look really good for May. Of course, a lot can happen in 5 days. If Bitcoin starts to turn back and trade back down below 66,000 bucks, you're going to hear me start to favor the downside. Obviously, you know, very likely another move back down to low 60s with bounce along the way. But for right now, you know, I'm biased still towards upside just based off of the numbers, based off the data, and that really is all that it is. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. I'll actually leave you with one last thing, just because I was perusing crypto Twitter early this morning. My good man, Mr. MM Crypto, absolutely fucking love the guy, by the way. he's really good guy in person. And he posted this, and this is my first time actually hearing this, so I think that this is maybe just relevant for people out there.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin.
From your Bitcoins.
And I will never allow the creation of a central bank
and he's going to stop the central bank digital currency. I mean, it seems to me like he's just kind of preaching to the choir and saying stuff that he knows people are going to like, but that's what politicians do, right? Does he follow up on those claims? Who the fuck knows? But it's very interesting to see. That crypto is becoming like a political... It's like an issue that political people can talk about and like win voters on. You know, it's really the legitimization of this whole sphere alongside ETFs in the past year and all of the other things that we've seen and all of the other all of the other developments that have been going on. So, you know, whether he falls through on that or not, who the fuck knows, but it's just interesting to see it being spoken about. And, you know, does it become like a Trump pro crypto and Biden against crypto type thing? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows if it does? I think, well, I think Trump's going to win over a lot of people, to be fair. So anyways, before we get too political here, about your Bitcoins, that's how he says it. And I won't let them take your Bitcoins. One more time.
I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin.
From your Bitcoins. From your Bitcoins, that's right. Keep your Bitcoins in your pockets, I guess. And he was one things right there. As always, I want to wish you the best. Just getting ready for June here. More boringness likely favors the Boulaws, but if there's going to be a breakdown, you would be expecting it starts early this week. So we'll see how things kind of evolve for tomorrow. Maybe even a live stream tomorrow as well. And with that said, I want to wish you the best. Take care. Much love. Fuck, forgot to say it again. Oh wait, no, we did speak about sales beginning tomorrow. Okay, got that. MetaSignal still offering 14-day free trial. You can check out their stuff in the link description below. They basically just shoot out probabilistic setups that tell you, hey, there is here's a probability for price getting to these areas here, and here is where this would essentially fail. So if you find that useful, check it out in the description below, and we'll end things right there. All right, see you tomorrow, you abundant motherfuckers.